Hi and welcome to Outwell and to the Flagstaff 5A from our air collection. This is a tunnel design tent which has 2 bedrooms across the back, a good size sealed living space and a canopy on the front as well, and it's aimed to sleep up to 5 people. With it being in our air collection, you'll find that we're using our Outex 4000 material on here for the fly sheet. So this particular model has a 150 denier taffeta polyester roof, and then the side panels of this tent are 75 denier in the same material. So what that means, of course, is that the roof is twice as thick as all the side panels, because this would be where most of the sunlight would obviously be on the tent, and that's going to make it last that little bit longer. And also this material has been UV protected as well. In terms of waterproofing, what you will find is the whole thing has been PU coated on the inside, and then all of the seams are fully taped as well. And that gives this tent a hydrostatic head of 4,000 millimeters, ensuring that it is completely waterproof. So for me, actually, one of the main things about this tent is the frame that we use on here. So from here to the back of the tent, we actually have inflatable tubes, with it being from our air collection. What you will find is each one of these tubes has 2 separate valves. So you have an in valve and an out valve. So it's really, really simple and easy to pitch and also to take down as well. So here you can see the 2 valves that I've just mentioned here, which are on each individual tube. Quite clearly they are marked with air in and air out. So of course the air in is where we would attach the pump, and what you'll find just underneath here is a valve to allow you to open it up. You'll see it is a one-way valve. There is air in here at the moment, but nothing's coming out. So this would be where you attach the pump in to inflate the tube. Once you've done that, you just pop the cap back on here, and that's you. In terms of taking the tent down, really simple and easy. You can see here, air out. So underneath here is where the release valve is. We just turn that and the air will come rushing out. Again, just repeat that on each of the tubes along the tent. The whole thing will drop down, and then all you need to do, of course, is just roll it up and pop it back into its bag. In terms of pitching, we do supply the tent with a double action hand pump, just like this one here. And with it being double action, that just means that every time you pull the handle up and push the handle down, you are inflating the tube with air, which is why it's so quick and easy to do. You'll then just find on top of the pump there is a pressure gauge as well, so you can keep an eye on the pressure when you're inflating each individual tube. And we would recommend inflating this up to 7 psi, which is 0.5 bar. So the tent also comes with our easy pegging system, and this is where we supply you 3 different styles of pegs with the tent. We have the solid steel anchor peg here for the corners, and that would just go into the grey pegging points. We have the black peg here for all of the black pegging points around the side of the tent, and we also have the luminous pegs because we have luminous guy lines throughout this tent as well. So the easy pegging system just allows you to make sure that you get the right peg in the right place. So as I mentioned there, we do have our classic luminous guy lines, and these are all pre-attached on the tent, so you don't need to tie them on yourself. With them being luminous, of course, you should be able to see these a bit easier when it's a bit darker. And you will also find that each one has its own guy line retainer just here. So when it comes to taking the tent down, we can wrap up the guy lines and pop them into these loops for the next time that you come to use the tent. So here on the other side of the tent from where we just were, you'll find that there is a large ventilation panel here, and this is taking use of our air-effective ventilation. This is where we have this real streamlined and sleek vent on the side here. Underneath this, you'll find that there's a mesh panel to allow cool, fresh air into the tent. If it gets a little bit too chilly, we can simply remove this just by taking the Velcro tabs out and pressing down like this. It's always a good thing to be able to have this ventilation open though, because it will reduce condensation from inside this particular style of tent. What you can also see here is a really large window in the living section of the tent, and there are 2 windows at the front here as well. Now these are all actually tinted windows, so these serve 2 key functions. One is to reduce the amount of glare from the sun inside the tent, and the second is of course to give you much better privacy when you're actually in there as well. So as I mentioned, at the front of this tent here we have the canopy. You can see at the bottom of the canopy here we have a mud valance, so that's just going to allow rainwater to run down and away from the inside area at the front here. How the canopy is created is using a steel pole at the front here, so a good solid rigid structure. And we also do use this fastening here just to attach it on here, making it nice and stable. And I'll just show you how that works. So all we do is when we're setting it up, just wrap this around the pole like so, and then fasten these Velcros into position. This is where you've got the guy line attached, so that really just tightens that whole canopy up and makes it nice and stable, even in slightly higher wind conditions. So the canopy itself is a great area actually, because what it does give you is a little bit of shelter or a little bit of shade. It's certainly long enough at the top to be able to sit under in a chair. If it's still quite mild outside but maybe light drizzle, then of course this is going to give you that little bit of shelter, but if you're lucky enough for it to be a hot sunny day, it will also give you a bit of shade in this area here as well. So as I mentioned there, we have this flat front to the tent here with the canopy covering it, and that actually gives you much more usable space in the inside of the tent. You've got the two large windows either side here as well, and then a good sized front door, certainly making it nice and easy to get all of your kit in and out of the tent. The door itself is rolled away at the moment and again has a large window on here, so even when the door is closed you'll still get good views out of the tent, and of course that's the waterproof part there. What we also then have though is a secondary door behind there, which is actually a mesh door, which is just rolled away here at the moment. What that allows you to do though is to leave the outside waterproof door zipped to the side, or rolled to the side rather, and then we can zip the mesh door into place here. There is also a side entrance which has the exact same feature, so an outside waterproof door and an inside zippable mesh panel. So that will then allow full through ventilation within this tent, coupled with the ventilation at the side and more at the back. So a really good, well ventilated tent. So the living space in here is of a good size. I'm quite tall at around 1.95 meters, and you can see I've got plenty of height above me here, and there's certainly enough space in here for some bits and pieces of furniture and storage and things like that as well. A lot of that is due to the fact that we have these large windows, so it does feel that a little bit more spacious. The side door also has a large window as well, which we just have rolled up at the moment, of course. And this is then the mesh door that we mentioned before too. All of the windows though do have their own curtains, so you may have noticed that we have one closed fully at the moment here, just to show you that that can be closed off, or it can be fully opened like this here, where it's toggled away at the bottom, or you can choose somewhere in between where it would be halfway up, because we have toggle points on the side there, just for that little bit more privacy. Then just above this window is then the mesh ventilation panel that corresponds with our aero vent system on the outside. At the back then is where the bedrooms are, and as I mentioned before, this can sleep up to 5 people across 2 bedrooms. A nice feature here is that these actually come pre-attached, so it's something that you don't need to worry about. It's a job that's already been done. Some features on the bedrooms themselves: you have some pockets on the outside here. The bedroom doors have mesh panels on there to allow for good ventilation within the bedrooms. Inside we continue with features where we have some good sized storage pockets along the side here. And then across the back of the bedrooms you can see that we have this large ventilation panel, which again corresponds to outside ventilation as well. The bedrooms are then split using this sheet of material here, which can be easily zipped up at the front and at the back to create one large sleeping area across the back, or of course as we have here, where it splits it into 2. One thing I want to highlight as well is this sealed area is fully sealed from the front door right to the back of the tent and from side to side as well, using a sewn in ground sheet, which does just come up at the sides, which you can just see at the bottom of the door here and continues round behind the bedrooms. So what that's going to do, of course, is keep you completely dry underfoot. It is totally waterproof with a hydrostatic head of at least 10,000 mil. With it being bathtub in style, it's going to stop drafts and things like dirt, dust and sand blown into the tent, and hopefully it will keep out those unwanted bugs as well. So the final thing to talk about here is the fact that we have a few optional extras available, which would be the carpet that you can see in this area here, which is a fleece carpet to give you more comfort underfoot. There's also a footprint to go under the tent itself, which will keep your ground sheet clean and dry. And you can also attach an awning onto the front of this tent to create even more living or storage space. So there you have it then. That's all the features of the Flagstaff 5A from our air collection. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget, this tent can be inflated using our Typhoon 12-volt compressor pump.